So again, to make up some time, here's a double breakdown of 1923 episode 4 and 5. At the beginning of the episode, we see a proud Donald Whitfield presenting the Paradise Valley as a ski resort to a group of investors. Since the idea of a resort to go skiing on is unheard of at the time, the bunch is pretty unimpressed. It doesn't take long though, and Whitfield captures the investors' interest by telling them of the money and opportunities this project will bring to them. As a result, they buy shares from him in troves. Timothy Dalton is awesome in this. He sells the Whitfield character perfectly. Take notes, Hollywood. Time to cast him more often. We switch to the ranch, where Jacob and Jack are assembling restraints for Sain's surgery. I didn't think last episode that the surgery would be this detailed. I remember Sheridan putting in the scenes of Monica's operation because some asshat punched her at the res school, but this time, Taylor really jumped the horse. Folks, I hope you had a bucket nearby, because that shit was both unnecessarily long and absolutely disgusting. And it wouldn't be from Sheridan's feather if Sain didn't wake up mid-surgery screaming in terror and agony. Where have I seen this one before? Ah yeah, in 1883, a Western PTSD prequel. Don't get me wrong, I love 1883, but sometimes it was really dragging out those brutal trauma and accident scenes where people would just get hurt for the sake of it. Anyways, Sain survives and walks out of the OR like he just slipped and fell.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
This is really stretching it, but on the other hand, I'm glad Sain is fine and can defend the ranch when time comes. A few rooms away from the surgery, Elizabeth awaits the last rabies shots before she can safely leave. Meanwhile, Kara encouraged Jacob to try and talk Elizabeth out of leaving the ranch. And lo and behold, Jacob's charms, which funny enough remind me of a rancher talking to one of his cows, work on Elizabeth. As a bonus, the doc finds out that she's pregnant. Wasn't she diagnosed as barren last season? I don't get how this is possible. But this makes the Dutton family tree a lot more interesting. Our knowledge so far suggests that Tate is the 7th generation. That is why the ranch was given back to Rainwater's tribe in the final season of Yellowstone. This would make Jack Dutton John Dutton III's grandfather, who's portrayed by Kevin Costner, of course. So the question is, will Elizabeth or Alexandra's baby survive to be John Dutton III's father? All we know is that John Dutton III, grandfather, lost his leg at one point, so Jack, better hold on to it while you can. Down in Texas, Spencer is hiking away from the train wreck of what happened to Luca. It doesn't take long and he's stopped by a cop car. At first, the sheriff pretends to not know Spencer and takes him up for a ride, because vagrancy is apparently a crime in Texas. Spencer accepts, hoping it will bring him a little closer to a train station. This scene reminds me a lot of First Blood, and I guess Sheridan also wanted to bring in that reference to shine a light on the cops abusing their power, not only during this time. On the ride, the lawman reveals that he knows Spencer and Luca were trying to pass the roadblock. He forces him to act as a bait on a raid of bootleggers. In exchange, he promises to let him off the hook once they're done and the criminals are caught. Spencer reluctantly agrees, but since he tries to avoid side quests that Taylor throws at him, he once again takes off when the deputies are busy and not looking. On the way out, he also helps a prostitute who is publicly shamed by a couple of women out on the streets. He cuts over restraints, and I really don't get what's the obsession with hookers this season.
One of the things I like doing most is banging whores. I go out and bang a lot of whores. Yeah.
But I digress. In New York, Alexandra freshens up before boarding her train. A thief saw her tucking away the money at the checkout and follows her into the ladies' room. She gets caught off guard, and the robber knocks her unconscious and takes all of her valuables. Alexandra wakes up and runs to the departing train, barely catching it. Look, I get it that traveling in 1923 was hard, especially for a woman. I'm just getting tired of the repetition. So let me give you an example of what I mean. The first Lethal Weapon, one of my favorite films. The director Richard Donner had 2 scenes in the beginning of the movie to establish that Mel Gibson's character Riggs is suicidal and wants to die on duty. The first one was the raid at the Christmas tree sale. The second one, the school shooting. Both scenes show Riggs' exaggerated fearlessness that he endangers his colleagues with his behavior. Donner took the school shooting out of the movie because the other scene already established what the audience needed to know about the character. So you see that instead of bringing something new to the table, those scenes of misery just act as a filler. Talking about violence against women, during one of Whitfield's sick games, hooker number 1 killed hooker number 2. To take care of the problem, the rich bastard calls in Banner to dispose of the body. Banner, a place on the map close to Wyoming where nobody lives and nobody upholds the law. The infamous train station. So this is the beginning of it. I heard that Jacob knows of the place. I didn't expect Whitfield to use it as well. This is some serious plot development, and I wonder if it will be used again this season. Lastly, we get to see Spencer. He manages to outrun the officers and hop onto a moving train. Unfortunately, it already has some greedy hobos in it, asking him for a toll. Spencer tells them to kick rocks and holds them at gunpoint. After hours, he falls asleep though, and the head honcho of the beggars tries to rob him. He shoots him and gets rid of the other hobos as well, and jumps off the wagon himself after a while. And I don't get he could have easily forced them off, but then again, didn't say where the train was headed, so jumping off might have been a good idea after all. And this is the end of episode 4, so let's get right into episode 5. We're starting off with a marshal asking the head of the Wranglers whether they saw Tiana. The cowboy is reluctant and spots early that the marshal reeks of jerk, so he demands to hear what Tiana is wanted for by Father Renaud to prove that all of this is true. Eventually, he gives up her location, and the two leave to chase after the native group. It was only a matter of time until they give them up. I just wonder if they ever saw what happened inside of those boarding schools, but I guess ignorance is bliss. It's also interesting to see that the father is slowly building some animosity towards the marshal, and I wonder if there's going to be a payoff for this tension in later episodes. Not too far away, Spencer's caught by the female marshal sleeping under a tree. Oh, and by the way, I heard the marshal in this case was inspired by the real-life Marshal Mamie Fawcett, who was the first female marshal in service. And similar to real-life Marshal Bass Reeves, Sheridan put her in the series with a real name and a slightly fictional story. So after some leveling, Spencer tells Fawcett his story, but Fawcett demands someone in Montana to back up what he said. So she takes him to the sheriff's and calls up Sheriff McDowell in Montana, confirms Spencer's identity, and warns him not to start a war when he returns. Spencer mouths off at him, and the marshal agrees to pay a ticket to Montana by train. Back in Montana, hooker number 1 is looking for a new playmate in Bozeman. She stumbles upon a new candidate and convinces her to tag along with her.
Would increase their ability to negotiate.
Man, if they aren't pulling the slave Leia and choke Whitfield to death, then I wasted a lot of time not fast forwarding this bullshit. Here's hoping for a big payoff, so please, Taylor Sheridan, make this happen. And talking about the oldest craft in business, Banner and 2 of Whitfield's goons dispose of Hooker 2 at the actual train station. The thugs are delighted of the convenience, while Banner is deep in his thoughts. I can see Banner becoming a little more sympathetic. I like the actor a lot, but then again he killed John, Spencer's brother. So while he clearly can't survive, I hope he still has some redemption ahead of him. Meanwhile, Alex also is well on her way to Montana. She has to share a wagon with a mother of 2 and gets left out of dinner since she hasn't paid for that. And since she was robbed, she tries to beg the waiter for some food and promises to pay it off when they reach the next station. The train staff denies her request, but offers her to work off the money as a waitress. Alex starts serving food and notices a British couple ranting about Americans butchering the English language. There's also a perv who forces Alex to dry his crotch when she spills tea on it. The next day, the guy goes to the next base and grabs Alex between the legs. Here we go again. So the British couple witnesses the assault but hold back. Alex on the other hand has enough and bludgeons the perv with a tea kettle. Naturally, the rest of the staff only see the rapist drop to the ground unconscious, and as a result, Alex is being locked up in a cell till Chicago. The train arrives, and the British couple finally speaks up about what happened. Police arrest the perv, and the couple takes Alex with them. It is really getting tiresome. I remember watching True Romance the other day, when Tony Soprano beats up Alabama. It's a scene hard to watch, and it delivers a clear message. They're dealing with merciless goons, and Clarissa and Alabama are in way over their heads. Now imagine this happened to Alabama twice in the movie, and the other scenes are filled with Gary Oldman's pimp character taking out his race ambiguity on the prostitutes working for him, whipping and spanking them every other scene. That would ruin the movie, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. I'm all for pulpiness and Sheridan showing us how tough the West was, or is. I just don't find it entertaining or watchable anymore. This is turning into hardcore exploitation, and this isn't the series for it. So I hope the next 2 episodes will get back on track. That's it for episode 4 and 5. While the acting, the characters and the overarching story is good, I really find myself bored with the episodes being little more than filler. There are way too many things going wrong and way too much drama. What else does Alex have to endure till Bozeman? What side quest will Spencer run into? It's all irrelevant to the plot and just makes us roll our eyes. At this point, it gets comical what's going to happen next. I guess Sheridan's plot for the season could be filled in 3 strong episodes, but is instead stretched out to 7, or at least 6. So overall, I was disappointed with those episodes. I hope that episode 6 and the season finale can actually make up for it. Thank you for staying this long till the end of this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon so you'll know when I crank out another video. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.